When 31-year-old Ethan Carter moved into his late uncle's home in Cedar Hills, he didn't expect much more than old furniture and creaky floors, but a persistent water leak in the basement sent him downstairs one stormy evening. As he pried open a rotten section of the wooden floor to investigate the source, his flashlight caught something strange, a cracked, dirt-covered skull staring back at him, bones. Human. Frozen in disbelief, Ethan stumbled back and called the police. The house suddenly felt colder, heavier. Something in the walls didn't sit right with him. When Officer Daniels arrived, he immediately roped off the area. "This isn't recent," Daniels murmured, examining the remains. "But whoever did this, they buried it right under your feet." As the investigation began, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching from the shadows outside. The blinds on the neighbor's window twitched. A camera lens caught a glare in the distance. He didn't know it yet, but the killer never left. The next morning, Ethan awoke to police tape and flashing cameras outside his house. News of the skeleton had spread fast. Reporters camped out, speculating about who the victim could be. But what unsettled Ethan more than the media frenzy was his next-door neighbor, Mr. Howard Griggs, a retired high school teacher who had lived in Cedar Hills for over 40 years. Howard stood on his porch, sipping coffee, eyes locked on Ethan like a hawk. When their eyes met, Howard offered a thin smile. "Strange things, old houses," he called out. "Secrets in the walls." Ethan forced a nod and went inside, but something about Howard felt off. Why hadn't he shown any shock or curiosity, like the others? Why did he seem almost pleased? Later that day, detectives confirmed the skeleton was that of a young woman, likely in her 20s, dead for over 2 decades. Ethan's uncle, who died mysteriously in his sleep the previous year, had never mentioned anything unusual about the house. Then, Ethan's phone buzzed. A blocked number had texted. She screamed for hours before the silence. His stomach dropped. The message wasn't public. Only the killer could have known. Shaken by the message, Ethan searched the house, hoping to find anything his uncle might have left behind, some explanation. In the attic, behind a false panel in the wall, he discovered an old, dusty trunk. Inside were faded photographs, war medals, and a diary wrapped in plastic. The diary belonged to Lily Jameson, a name not yet released by the police. Dated from 1999, her entries grew darker with each page. She wrote about feeling trapped, watched, and hearing whispers in the night. The last entry read, "He said I could leave if I stayed quiet. I don't think he means it." Ethan's hands trembled as he turned the final page. A photo taped inside showed Lily standing in his basement, smiling uneasily beside Mr. Howard Griggs. Was it coincidence? Or had the killer lived next door all along? Ethan brought the diary to the detectives. They scanned it silently. Then one asked, "Did you tell anyone we found a female victim?" "No," Ethan replied. The detective nodded gravely. "That message you got only. The killer would have known she was a woman." From the shadows of the blinds across the street, a lens glinted again. The killer was watching. The house no longer felt like home. Every creak made Ethan flinch. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept checking the locks, glancing at the windows, and then he heard it. A faint click, like a camera shutter. Following the sound, he traced it to the hallway. There, above the bookshelf, was a narrow air vent. Using a screwdriver, Ethan removed the cover, and what he found chilled him to the bone. A tiny camera, wired and active, hidden deep inside. Someone had been watching the house from the inside. He yanked the device out and drove it straight to the police. Forensics confirmed it had been transmitting live and recently. That meant someone had been inside after the discovery of the skeleton. Detective Rivas questioned Ethan carefully. "Anyone else have access to the house?" "No one, except maybe the real estate agent and my neighbor. He's always around." Rivas's eyes narrowed. "We'll look into him." That night, another message came. This one was a video blurry footage of Ethan asleep, tossing in bed. The timestamp just 6 hours earlier. The caption read, "Nice dreams. But don't go digging anymore." The killer wasn't just watching, he was already inside. The next morning, police returned to inspect the entire house. They brought dogs, scanners, and thermal imaging equipment. Ethan stayed outside, pacing the porch, his eyes flicking constantly to Mr. Griggs' house. The old man waved at him again. Same coffee mug, same smirk. Hours later, Detective Rivas called Ethan into the basement. "You need to see this." Behind the water heater, where the original floor had been disturbed, was a hollow wall. The K9 unit had barked non-stop at it. Police tore through it, revealing a narrow crawl space, dark, musty, and coated in old cobwebs. "Jesus," Ethan whispered. The tunnel extended under the foundation and kept going, toward the neighbor's property. They followed it carefully, flashlights guiding them through the claustrophobic passage. After what felt like hours, they reached a boarded-up exit right beneath the shed in Griggs' backyard. The killer had dug a tunnel between the two houses. That's how he had entered undetected. But as they prepared to breach the shed from below, one officer whispered, "Stop!" On the floor above them. Slow, deliberate footsteps echoed. Someone was up there. And then, boom, the shed exploded into flames. The killer had known they were coming. The flames swallowed the shed in minutes. Fire trucks roared down Cedar Hills Avenue, but the heat had already gutted everything. By the time police secured the perimeter, the tunnel had collapsed from the blast, burying the only link between Ethan's house and Mr. Griggs's. But something even more chilling followed. The old man was gone. Neighbors swore they saw him walking his dog that morning, but after the explosion, his house sat dark, abandoned. Officers broke in. The place looked like it had been cleared out in a rush. No clothes, no tech, just a dusty photo on the mantel. Griggs and a young woman. It was Lily. Ethan's head spun. Why would he keep her photo out like a trophy? Detective Rivas muttered, because he thought no one would ever connect the dots. The case was growing colder by the minute. Griggs had vanished, left no digital footprint, no paper trail, no prints. It was like he planned this escape for years. That night, Ethan tried to sleep, but at exactly 3:17 a.m., his phone buzzed again. A video? His own front door, footsteps approaching. A soft knock. Then a whisper in the audio. Miss me. The killer wasn't done yet. The police increased patrols around Ethan's house, and cameras were installed at every entrance. Still, the messages kept coming. Silent videos. Still shots of Ethan's backyard. One of his car with the word buried, written in the condensation of the rear window. Then, something new. Ethan went to check his mailbox and found a small, unmarked package. Inside, a white latex mask, cracked at the edges and covered in dirt. Tucked beneath it was a note, handwritten in shaky letters. You've walked the same halls, heard the same screams. You just didn't listen. Detective Rivas rushed the package to forensics. The results came back in hours. Partial prints. They matched a long-dead suspect from a 1999 missing person case. A man who had disappeared after being questioned once, and never seen again. Lily, Jameson's boyfriend. So if he's dead? Ethan asked. Then, who's Griggs? Rivas looked grim. Someone who killed to become someone else. Ethan reviewed the diary again. A line he missed suddenly jumped out. He pretends to be someone new for every house. Always watching, always digging. Griggs wasn't his real name, and Lily wasn't the only one buried beneath secrets. Rivas brought in a specialist profiler. Together with Ethan, they searched every inch of the old house again, looking for anything the killer might have missed. In the attic, wedged deep beneath insulation, they found it. A dusty blue folder bound with a leather strap. Inside were photographs. Dozens. All taken from hidden angles, through vents, behind curtains, even inside bathrooms. They weren't just of Lily, but other women. Different ages, different years. Every face etched with fear. And written on the back of each photo, a date, a location, and a single word. Watched. There were 8 women in total, all missing, all cold cases. The killer had been doing this for decades, changing names, buying old homes with basements, digging tunnels, setting traps. One photo made Ethan freeze. It was blurry, recent, and unmistakably of him. Watching TV, unaware of the camera behind him. He's added you to the folder, Rivas whispered. You're his next target. Suddenly, Ethan's phone vibrated again. Live feed. His backyard. Real time. The camera panned slowly toward the side of the house. Then the message. I'm coming home. Don't move. I still have your keys. The killer was closer than ever. Ethan didn't wait for police backup. He bolted every door, blocked the windows, and grabbed the baseball bat he kept under his bed. The live feed was still active now, showing his own kitchen window from the outside. The killer was circling the house. Detective Rivas was en route, but Ethan knew this was what the killer wanted. Fear, isolation, control, then crash. The back door window shattered. Ethan spun toward the noise, heart pounding. Footsteps padded across the kitchen tile. The lights flickered, then died. Total darkness, silence. Ethan. A voice whispered, calm, familiar. Griggs, you found her bones, but not her story. The voice continued. She was only the beginning. Ethan gripped the bat tighter and crept down the hall. He heard breathing. Closer, closer. And then he swung. Cracked. A thud. A groan. A flashlight rolled across the floor, revealing the killer's face, bloodied but smirking. You think this is over? He hissed. There are more. You're standing on them. Suddenly, red and blue lights flooded the windows. Rivas and SWAT burst in, guns raised. Freeze, they shouted, but Griggs, or whatever his real name was, just chuckled. You stopped me, but you'll never find them all. Griggs was arrested, his face plastered across national news. But as detectives dug deeper, they uncovered a horror, far beyond a single skeleton. In the weeks that followed, ground-penetrating radar was used on Ethan's backyard and the adjoining properties. What they found shocked the entire country. For more bodies, all women, all reported missing between 1998 and 2010. Each house Griggs had owned revealed another victim. He'd created a ritual: move into a home, watch the neighbors, select a woman, and disappear her into the basement. His real identity: Malcolm Reese, a former crime scene cleaner with a gift for erasing evidence. He'd legally changed his name 5 times and used forged identities to buy isolated houses with easy tunnel access. But the most haunting discovery came when they searched his computer drives, hundreds of hours of surveillance footage, cataloged and dated. Lily Jameson had been his first, Ethan Carter had nearly become his last. As Ethan finally packed his things to leave Cedar Hills for good, he stood one last time in the basement, the place where it all began. He turned to Detective Rivas and asked, "You think it's really over?" Rivas didn't answer, because behind them, the floor creaked.